again. Okay, in this one we're going to be talking about protein composition and structure. It's actually kind of funny and interesting that we start with protein, but honestly you can't understand the DNA stuff without understanding the damn proteins involved. So yeah, that's where we're at. So this right here is a protein composition and structure. Notice there's the primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary structures. Okay? So this being the primary, which is just the sequence of amino acids. Okay? And it's oftentimes represented as a straight line. Is it ever actually a straight line? Yeah, no. When you see a straight, like, do you have any straight lines in you? No, and you're made of proteins, right? That's what's giving you your structures. So, no, basically there's no straight lines. And then we have the secondary structure. These are does anybody have any art history in them? Like history doing art stuff? Okay, if you were talking about this in terms of arts, this would be the motif, okay? It's small structures that are going to be organized into that will produce the larger structures, okay? You can think of it a bit like the unit cells of crystals. Remember that? Kind of like that, okay? And there's different types, and they build up to make the overall shape, right? Yeah. And so these are the secondary structures. There's the tertiary structures. These will be one subunit in how it's organized of the overall protein. Some proteins only have this level of structure. They don't go on to the next, okay? And then the quaternary structure, which is how these tertiary structures will assemble into an overall protein, and that will be assembly of the multiple subunits. These will be the learning goals and outlines for this chapter. So proteins, these can be considered as the linear polymers composed of monomers called amino acids. These will be linked from one end to the next, over and over and over, like all monomers, right? They are going to contain a wide range of functional groups whose reactive properties will be essential to the function of the protein, i.e. the enzyme function. They will also usually dictate the enzyme structure as well, okay? Though you can have other things dictating it than the protein itself. For example, there are protein RNA complexes, okay? Or protein cell wall complexes, right? They can interact with one another and other macromolecules to form complex assemblies like we just mentioned. They can be rigid or they can be flexible, and that's all part of what the function is, right? If you want structural, you need something semi-rigid, don't you? Okay? On the other hand, a molecule that needs to open, close, and grasp things is probably going to be somewhat flexible, right? Remember that structure dictates function. This should be like that slogan in the back of your head, okay? Structure dictates function. If it needs to grasp around DNA, can it have this middle part closed? No. Needs to look something like a halo, right? Okay. By the way, does anybody actually know what a halo in Christianity actually looks like? Is it the thing floating over people's heads? No. Halo is like a light aura around the back. Yeah. Which means it's actually involved in grasping, just like this. Yeah. Anyways. Okay, so this is a complex protein assembly. Here we have a single muscle fiber. Okay. This is going to be composed of different units within this. And so we have the microfibrils. If we take a microfibril, extend it out, we have a sarcomere, which is sarcomeres are the individual parts of the microfibril that'll be assembled together. See that? Like chains on it. Chain links on chain, excuse me. Yeah. This is what it looks like when you take an imaging of it and we go, oh, muscle. This is what it looks like when you represent it in two-dimensional structures so you can see what it looks like. And here we have thick filaments and thin filaments. And you can actually see these in here. See the thin filaments and thick filaments? So this is flexibility in its function. Notice here we have a flexible protein that can move around and change its structure as we bind to things. For example, we're binding iron here. We're going to have to take a little bit of a break, and I'm going to have to use the restroom. If anybody wants to use the restroom at the same time, let me know.